This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
We got another Wild Wednesday here on The Fan, and your shot to win a pair of tickets to the regular season finale. Use the TalkBack feature on the iHeartRadio app and tell us who you think gets the first goal for your Wild tonight. A correct answer could net you a pair of tickets to the game on April 15th against the Ducks. Good luck, Wild fans.
Your microphone on once you turn it on. It's been a very fast-paced, action-packed Common Man program. But what's new? Time for 5-3-4 now here on the Grum.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
We're gonna win, Twins. We're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
When's the winning and the scoring going to start? When are the home runs going to come? When will we cheering hip hooray? I don't know.
Yeah, not a lot of good news. 1, the Twins lost last night. 2, Pablo Lopez left last night's game with a mild right hamstring strain. He will undergo an MRI today to determine the severity of the injury. He permitted 3 hits, 1 earned run in 4 2/3 innings before he felt tightness in his hamstring. Common, can the Twins survive if Lopez is out for an extended period of time?
Well, if you believe Lavelle and all the others, we're deep. We got Zebby Matthews. He's just waiting. He's chomping at the bit to dominate the big leagues. And who's our other youngster?
You ask this every time. Festa?
David Festa. It's very Festa. It's very festive with Festa. I don't know. I don't know if those, they had, in the minors, they've been very good. They haven't done as quite as well with the big club, if I'm not mistaken. And, Lavelle did do a piece about a week ago, which I liked. I think he did a really nice job with it. I like everything he does. I just don't always agree with what he says. But about how there's different ways to describe an ace. And in Pablo's case, I don't consider him like, he's not who's the guy for the Tigers? Skubal? Was that his name that won the Cy Young? I mean, he's not Skubal-like. He's not. Who were some of the old, Garrett Cole was an ace. You know what I'm saying? Bonafide
your
aces.
Verlanders.
Yeah, your Verlanders of the world. But he's that next level. He's really good. He's our best pitcher day in, day out. Joe Ryan has shown signs of maybe being that guy as well. Without him, I do think we're in some trouble. I mean, he's had the best start of the year so far for us, right? Didn't he go 7 innings the other day? So, yeah, missing him would, for any length of time, would be, and it was the way he phrased it in the story I saw. He goes, well, I felt something there I've never felt before, and again, maybe it is just mild. Let's hope it is, but it tend to be, as you and I have talked about, those hammies can linger. Mm-hmm. They can be bothersome. And as a pitcher,
a lot of times they lead to other leg injuries.
That's true. I think that is true. And then when you look at, when you're a pitcher, you're pushing off on your legs over and over and over again, and then how much trust you have in it after a while. This could be We'll just wait and see what the results are and how he handles it. But this could be very bad. Yeah, it could be bad for the club.
Question number 2.
Time now for an in-depth look at the state of hockey.
Michael Russo reported this morning that if the morning skate went well, both Kirill Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson Ek may return tonight against the San Jose Sharks. They both did.
Oh my gosh.
Practice this morning at the morning skate. Both expected to go tonight. Common, how big of a boost would Kirill and Eki give to the Wild if they can go tonight?
Well, that's an easy, and I think it bodes. I mean, it's the best news to happen to the club since they moved to Dallas. They started out the season as one of the best teams in the league. Kaprizov guys, results just haven't been there. I know you've talked about because he's been out for an extended period of time. How quickly can he get back up to game speed and do the things he used to do that made him good? I would hope it wouldn't take too long, but I mean it couldn't come. It's
all systems go now.
Yeah, how many games are left? 4, 3, 5. It's down to the wire. So the news couldn't be better, could it? I mean, we need both of those players back to have any chance to.
They got 4 left
to put up any kind of a fight in postseason play. Would you agree?
And that Calgary game is going to be big on Saturday. That's going to be the biggie. Clearly, Kirill Kaprizov at 70%, even if he's not at 100%, is going to be better than offensively a lot of what you've been throwing out there. It was great to see line combinations this morning because it's like, we actually have guys that are now somewhat slotted where they're supposed to be on the depth chart as opposed to third liners playing on your first line, and they're actually putting guys in the press box. I do wonder, one, obviously the question is going to be what are you getting out of Kirill Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson Ek? I would imagine there's probably more rust than rest there. The second part is they've completely had to change the way they play without those guys. They've kind of had to change their identity.
How so?
Well, I mean, when you don't have Kaprizov, you can't be taking as many chances offensively. You can't be as much of an East-West team. You turn into more of a North-South, get pucks deep. Got to make sure we're not turning pucks over. You got to think more defensive-minded. And I do wonder now if they're going to be kind of trying to figure out their identity with not a lot of time to figure out their identity once Kaprizov is back, right? Can you keep playing the old style? Probably not. Can you go back to playing the way you were when Kaprizov was playing early in the year? Probably not. So I am wondering if there's going to be just from a system standpoint, if things are going to be off a little bit. Now, good news is that San Jose is a bad team. So you can be a little bit off. Tonight's one where you can get away with it a little bit.
A wounded shark is a dangerous shark, though.
They've had to play with a certain identity for the last month straight. Their identity the last month is we need to win 2-1 games, maybe 3-2 games. We can't score 4. We can't score 5. We don't have a whole lot of margin for error. We got to be very, very good defensively. And now, if Kaprizov's out there, do defensemen start jumping up in the play a little bit more? Do you start, making rink-wide passes that you weren't making before? And how does that? I'm just curious to see how that goes.
San Jose tonight?
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. What if
I do know the way to San Jose.
What if we were to get out to a 2-0 lead?
I think it's best if you just keep it scoreless for as long as possible.
I like the way you think.
Question number 3.
It's time now for What's Your Rank? A 10 hut!
All right, Common, I saw this on TikTok. Thought I would relay it to you. They ranked the 5 best shots at the Masters all time. At number 5, they had Phil Mickelson's 6-iron from the Pine Straw on number 13 in 2010.
Well, can I help you guess? I
Sure.
can tell you what they are. I don't know what order, but Woods' chip from behind 16.
They got that at number 4 in 2005.
Walter Hagen's 4-wood for an double eagle, right?
That wasn't on there.
Or Saracen, I'm sorry.
That wasn't on there.
Well, then the list is wrong.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about. Yeah. They had, Phil at 5, the Tiger chip at 4, At number 3, Jack Nicklaus's 11-foot birdie putt on 17 to take sole possession of the lead in 1986. Number 2, Larry Mize's chip in on the 11th hole in a playoff against Greg Norman in 1987. And number 1, Bubba Watson hooking a wedge out from the trees on number 10 in a playoff back in 2012. So my question for you, Common, is what is your ranking of the 5 best shots in Masters history?
Well, they left out Sarazen from the holing out with a what was a 4-wood from. I mean, come on, man. That's the greatest shot in Masters history. So they're just wrong from the very beginning. But those were amazing golf shots.
It's kind of crazy that Tiger's chip in on 16 is probably the best shot I've ever seen.
Really?
And it's not even top 3 on this list. It just shows you how many great shots there's been.
You've played with me enough that... What about the shot I hit that I called at Spring Hill? You were there.
That was pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive. I called it. Woods didn't stand back there and look at the gallery and go, I'm going to chip this ball in right now.
I mean,
We're at Spring Hill.
I think the difficulty level is a little bit more with the Tiger shot.
Do you remember?
I do, yeah. You hit it up the hill and it came back down in. It was brilliant. Live and in person, that's probably the best shot I've ever seen.
When you say it that way, you make it sound like, well, we're up the hill and we're playing Spring Hill. You got us the round. I don't know who you knew out there. You can't tee off till 8. And we have to walk, because at Spring Hill, if you play before 10 o'clock, you must walk, because you have to be a purist. I don't know why I had to go to work and you didn't. You must have taken the day off or something.
Maybe I did, yeah.
So I told Caddy Guy, I said, look, you're going to have someone come from the clubhouse in a cart to pick me up somewhere on the back side.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be, and I said that'd be fine. So we're coming up, I don't know, it was 14, 15, 13, whatever it was. And I said to Caddy Guy, can you call the shop and have a cart? He goes, sure. So we get down, I'm playing awful, and I'm 70 yards, 80 yards from the green. I'm down below, it's elevated green. And Caddy Guy, cart guy's up there with the cart is waiting, and you and the 2 people we're playing with, and the caddies are there. And I go, well, here's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to hit this wedge, and I'm going to run it past the hole all the way up the back of the green till it just gets to the fringe, hang for a bit, and then jump into the hole. Well, I hit the shot, ran past the hole, up to the fringe, hung for a second, and dropped into the hole. And then I go, see you later, and jump on the cart and take off. What could be? That's better than all 5 of those shots combined. I called it. I don't think Bubba said, I'm going to hook this around and get it in. Granted, there was more at stake, a green jacket.
A little bit different pressure.
A little bit different pressure. Pressure is self-imposed, Tenneby. It's what the pressure you put on yourself. I feel no pressure. I just swing and hit the shot. I'm glad I got to talk about that.
Who would have thought you would have changed that question and make it about yourself?
3 questions, but 5
What I do.
sounds like more than 4.
Sorry, I got caught up in I was reliving the shot in my head again. Let's take a break, come back. We'll talk more Twins and a couple of other other NBA, a couple of other NBA notes that are worth getting into as well here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Fan.
Starting Monday, April 14th, KFAN has 9 chances to win $1,000 every weekday with Pay Your Bills, powered by BigDeck.com. That's every hour, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. Starting Monday, April 14th. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at KFAN.com.
A lot of people want to win money. A lot of people.
For your chance to win.
Oh, sorry. A lot of people want to win a lot of money. Later on, Common, Tenneby, and Mark Rosen do a little Masters pool. I don't know if it's just for bragging rights, for want to put.
You can put some money on it.
How about some big money? How about like $5 a piece? That's big money to me. I don't like to risk much more than that. We're going to do that later.
You put a fitty on it. You get to play Masters pool against me and Rosen. You should be begging for it to be $50.
Wait a minute now. I only have one account. I don't have that little slush fund like you do.
Oh, yeah, quite the slush fund I got.
You've got a slush fund where you're jetting off to Bandon Dunes and buying golf clubs and doing all these things.
I always love
I'm living
that
check to check, and my gal gets all the money. She gets everything, and she divvies it out and decides what to do with it.
Yeah, but you get to do a golf bet against me and Rosen.
Yeah, I know.
That's easy money.
You buy some land and houses too. You make it rich when the mortgage is due. Either way, it's fun to play. Easy money. Easy money. That's what Jimmy Ray Carroll used to call, it'd be his nickname for almost anybody. He'd look at me and go, hey, easy money. I think it's a cheap shot, isn't it? I didn't really know what it means other than I guess it ain't easy being easy, but you're easy. Hey, easy money.
They always say that to me at the poker table. I never knew what they're talking about.
Wait, hold on. Now that's where a rim shot like a Macarossi. What's Rossi's name again?
Well, it's Rossi, but Rossi, but also Rossi.
But I mean, no, the first part of his
Marco.
name. Marco Rossi. And that how we do it is we have 4 columns of golfers, and then you take 2 from one column and 2 from another, 3, whatever it is, and then you just take those are your golfers, and then you get points depending upon what they shoot under par. If they miss the cut, how much are we minusing? Because don't we take points?
We have to talk it out.
Yeah, okay. We'll talk.
Because this is not somebody else's master pool. It's just us putting it forward.
We'll talk that out.
I think we just go by how much money they make. So then if they miss the cut, well, they got $0.
Okay. Because I know that in the one that, what was the golfer that used to put that one together?
David Toms.
David Toms used to put one together. And I think it was like, if I remember correctly, like you got minus 60. The guy didn't make the cut. It was, you'd lose a lot of points.
We could do that, but
it doesn't matter much to me. I'm going to win anyways. Power Trip Morning Show, those are the golf experts. Those guys who know their PGA.
Of course.
They did their little thing today. And Rosen, I heard, was involved.
He was.
Did he come into the studio or was he?
I think he was there. Wow. He was there in attendance.
Wow. Mark Rosen actually going above and beyond the call of duty. That doesn't even seem fathomable to me. I can't. That's hard to believe that. Did you listen? Do you know who their picks were? Can you look?
I listened to a portion of it. I saw the picks on Power Trip Bets.
I'm just curious to see.
Rosen always gets a high pick in that thing.
Yeah,
he never gets one of them.
What they do is there's what they call it a ghost pick. You can't take Scheffler. Was the guy right? You cannot take Scotty Scheffler. I think they've changed the rules. So like whoever the odds-on favorite is, and right now it is Scotty Scheffler. I think in pretty much anywhere, any bookie, whether it's legit or not, would have the Scotty Scheffler, the number 1 ranked player in the world, who's trying to defend. He's won 2 of the last 3 green jackets, looking for his 3rd, and back-to-back is the favorite. So who had
They had
first?
16 people participate. That's a lot.
Did it take all day to do the show then? Did it take the whole entire show?
Well, when you're just reading the next line on this betting odds that they gave you, it doesn't take that long.
Let me guess. Who was...
Meatsauce got the first pick.
He took McIlroy.
Of
course. Well, I was going out on a limb. Do you think he felt forced to take McIlroy?
Yeah, remember that one?
He's forced to take him, even though he's won 2 events already this year and 2 big ones. He won it, probably the 2 biggest events of the year, Pebble Beach and the Players. He won them both. What was next?
Mark Parrish had the second pick. He took John Rahm.
Okay.
Alexis Pearson had the 3rd pick. She took Ludwig Oberg.
Okay.
And then Rosie had the 4th pick. He took Colin Morikawa.
Okay.
Lawyer Lambert then took Bryson DeChambeau.
Ooh. Lawyer Lambert doesn't know much about golf, does he?
Kevin Gorg took Shane Lowry.
Oh, that's an interesting pick.
Zacho took Justin Thomas.
Okay.
Creasel, who I think was calling from some tropical exotic location.
That's a shock.
He took Xander Schauffele. Our gal Marnie
He took Xander Schauffele.
Xander Schauffele.
Is he not paying attention? Schauffele's only played like 3 events in the past. I don't know. He's got a rib injury. He hasn't played very well. I mean, that's not to say he couldn't all of a sudden turn it on a dime, but I would, and I don't trust DeChambeau either. I saw a statistic about DeChambeau. Do you like saying DeChambeau or DeChambeau?
DeChambeau.
See, I like
the emphasis on the second syllable.
I like DeChambeau. I like to say, what's his first name again?
Bryson
DeChambeau. And DeChambeau averages at the Masters like 2.5 doubles a tournament. Now, that can be offset if you shoot 63, right? But, man, if you're making, on average, over 2 doubles a tournament at the Masters, you and I can make doubles and still beat the other guy, right? On tour, you can't be making that many doubles. And again, maybe he won't this. I might be eating my words.
Now, Augusta's, of course, though, where you can carve up the par 5s, can you not? What you would think.
Yeah, right. I just wouldn't trust DeChambeau because of that fact. But I could be eating my words on Monday. He may end up donning the green jacket Sunday night.
The 9th pick, Marnie Gellner, took the red-hot live player, Joaquin Niemann.
He's a guy. Here's a guy. We talked about that yesterday. He's got all the talent in the world, but I don't think he's ever played well in any major he's ever been in, I don't think.
Well, it's hard to get major level intensity over on the live tour.
Yeah, but even when he was on our tour, because he was on when I say our, because I'm a PGA guy, who always have been, always will be.
Mike Mussman took Tommy Fleetwood. Chad Daniels, who's a comedian, he took Victor Hovland. Corey Cove took Will Zalatoris. Johnny Bonus took Cameron Smith. How about Tommy Olson with the 14th pick gets Brooks Koepka. Hockey then took Hideki Matsuyama, and then Carly Zucker, the last pick, took Russell Henley.
That's a good pick at the very end. Henley has won a number of times on tour, including this year, and he was in the hunt and some others. I don't know about Zalatoris. I didn't even know he was still playing. I thought he had retired by now. He's not had a good run of luck. Who are some of those other last ones?
Cameron Smith, Brooks Koepka, Hideki Matsuyama, Russell Henley.
Okay, go up above those.
Will Zalatoris, Victor Hovland, Tommy Fleetwood.
Hovland's interesting.
That's interesting.
Well, here's the thing about Hovland. I mean, he's a hell of a player, right?
Yes.
But and he did win this year.
He won his last tournament.
But he even said, he almost felt like it was just cunning and guile that won in the event. He's not hitting the ball very well. His short game's a mess right now. And if you don't have a short game, you can't win at Augusta National Golf. Maybe, like I said, unless you hit every green.
But he had a good short game in that tournament, so maybe he figured something out.
Maybe.
You know how it is, how finicky the golf game is. You can fix that. It can turn quickly. Play a little confidence.
You can take Hovland if you want. I wouldn't touch him.
I'll let you know at 2:30 who I'm going to take today.
I wouldn't take Bryson DeChambeau either.
You've already disparaged one of my picks for 2:30 today.
I wouldn't take Will Zalatoris. I'm a great golfing mind, is what I am. I understand how it works. So yeah. So those are.
So you'd have no problem putting $50 on it then. No, you're a great golf mind.
I don't bet on things I have no control over. What if all of a sudden I take Oberg and he does and here's the other thing, this is only Oberg's second Masters. Now, he was brilliant last year, and he's a good player. I'm not suggesting that's a bad pick, but, they'll tell you, and I guess I have to take their word for it because I've never played Augusta National Golf Club. John Harris has not called me, and even if he called you, you wouldn't invite me. That's obvious. He basically said so without saying so. You're going to take Dr. Doug. If you had
At least I had you higher than 9th on my list.
If you had to take me or Brett Blakemore, who would you take?
I'd take you.
Thanks, appreciate that. What was I just going to say? I forgot. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's do this. We're going to take a break, and then we'll be back with more of Nonstop Nonsense. Tom Foolery and Skullduggery here on The Fan.
you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself, talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
It's iHeartRadio Week, only on Wheel of Fortune. Tonight, you at home have the chance to win an exclusive VIP experience at our very own iHeartRadio Theater in Los Angeles. Watch Wheel of Fortune tonight. Check your local listings.
That sounds like a heck of a concert. I might want to show up with some friends.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. Excitement beginning to build. The legendary Mark Rosen will enter Studio A in a couple 13-14 minutes. He's 10 to be. I'm Common. After spending a good portion of that last segment disparaging Bryson DeChambeau and his chances to win the Masters, someone texted from the 952, DeChambeau finished sixth last year. Which my response to me was, last we checked, six doesn't get you into Butler Cabin and get you the green jacket ceremony. They don't give it to the guy that finishes sixth. Nor do they give it to the guy who finishes fifth, fourth, third, or second. It only goes to the guy that wins.
Well, frankly, because of the size of the Masters pool and because of the players that are in it every year, a good chunk of them finish high in the Masters because somebody has to.
Yeah.
Right, like every single golfer in the top 30 has probably had a good finish at some point in the Masters.
Yes, generally speaking.
Like a top 5, top 10 finish.
Absolutely. And I know when we do, when you're picking in the power chip, if you're not in the, if you don't get the pick of the litter, that doesn't mean you'll win it. But I mean, if you're down scrounging around at 13, 14, 15, 16, sometimes it's a little. Who again did Carly take?
Russell Henley.
She could win it. And I don't think Russell Henley is going to win the Masters, but the guy's crafty. He's won. I think he's got a chance to win.
He's having a good year.
Yeah, he's having a very good year. Yeah. That's for sure. I know what I want to do. A couple of other NBA notes. Yesterday we talked about the news broke on this. You broke the news. You're the fans' version of Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter. You broke the news that the Denver Nuggets had parted ways with head coach Mike Malone and their general manager Calvin Booth, both dismissed. Okay. So today, the follow-up, Brad Botkin writes for CBS Sports. So later in the day, this was literally a couple 13, 14 hours ago, he posted this story. Russ Westbrook's minutes, part of Michael Malone, Calvin Booth rift that led to the Nuggets firing. Story says, after the Nuggets announced the firing of coach Michael Malone and general manager Calvin Booth on Tuesday, a shocking development with the postseason less than a week away. Details regarding what potentially led to the decision have trickled out from various sources. At the heart of the matter appears to be a pretty icy rift between Booth and Malone. The Athletic reports that, and here's what they wrote, Malone and Booth had been at odds over everything from roster construction to the way players were used, creating tension that started to bleed into the rest of the organization. The story goes on to say, in essence, Booth wanted Malone to play the young guys he drafted, like Jalen Pickett and Peyton Watson, but Malone has long been more inclined to trust his veterans, specifically Russell Westbrook, who's been getting the minutes Booth would have preferred to go to Pickett and has had a rough go of late. If you remember, Westbrook almost single-handedly was responsible for losing that critical game against the Timberwolves where he had a chance for a layup. They were already winning. He had a chance to lay it up and in and would have put them up 3, I think. And then and then when he missed it, the Wolves got the rebound. They take a desperation 3 that didn't go in, but yet Westbrook felt he needed to defend it to the extreme where he was called for a foul. I think it was ended up knocking down a couple of free throws and they lost. Denver Post reported, it says they had a piece on it about the Malone and Booth rift, and it says, since the championship season of 2022-2023, Malone and Booth have clashed over the direction of the team, leading to a culture in which coaches don't trust the front office and front office employees don't trust the coaches. Sort of like here at the Fan. I don't think most of the air talent trusts the front office, the coroner's office, and the coroner's office doesn't trust us. Does that mean that about the axe might fall here pretty soon? If it is, I'm taking you down with me. I'm going to blame you. You're going to be my fall guy. If I go 10 to be you're going. Disagreements between Malone and Booth stem from both Malone's lineup decisions and Booth's roster-building philosophy. In Booth's view, the path to more championships required strong investment in young players through the draft, especially to navigate a new collective bargaining agreement that placed punitive restrictions on teams with expensive payrolls. And that does make sense. If you're in trouble, if you're in charge of the purse strings, and ownership ownership doesn't want to pay payroll tax, the luxury tax and all that. Malone grew frustrated with Booth's reliance on those young players to form a rotation, often preferring to play veterans instead. 6 players on Denver's 15-man roster this season were drafted in the last 3 years using the 21st overall pick or later. The story goes on to say that they did talk to Joker about it before. Story says, where does Joker fit into all this? Was he notified? Did he sign off on the firing of his coach? Well, The Athletic reports that there has been significant frustration within the locker room regarding the Nuggets' bottom 10 defense, and that Joker's been frustrated with the team's defensive commitment and performance this season. The Post reports that Joker did not request the coaching change, but he was notified of the moves in advance. And as the story, their thinking goes, reading the tea leaves, is that Joker must not have put his foot down for Malone, right? I mean, because I think if Joker said, if Malone goes, I go, or just you can't do that, they probably would have kept him along. I didn't remember this, or I don't even think I knew it, because I haven't been paying as close attention to the NBA as I once did. The story also says Steph Curry was a clear advocate for Mark Jackson, and the Warriors still replaced him with Steve Kerr in 2014, which, as the story, CBS Sports story points out, that worked out pretty well, right? That was a good one, but Steph didn't want to. And oftentimes, I think a player will stand by just to say, hey, it shouldn't happen. And then when it does, you don't want the guy that left, even if you deep down thought he should have been replaced, right? Maybe you still have, you're still friends with him, and you don't want to be the guy who says, yeah, he needed to go. You're just kind of like, hey, I want him to stay. It's really not on me. So whether he really felt that way or not. The other thing is and this is what's key to me. It says Malone, of course, would argue that Denver's defensive decline can be traced back to Booth's decisions, which likely was at the behest of ownership to let go of key defenders Bruce Brown and the guy I couldn't remember his name yesterday, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, both of who played major roles in the 2023 championship. Booth would argue Watson is a defender, but his offense hasn't come along. So I know people think, and it is unusual to make a change like that, particularly the coach. General manager, you and I discussed this yesterday, Tim. I mean, I don't know if you tend to agree with this or not, but changing your general manager during the season, I don't think is as big as changing the coach, because the GM's basically done all of,
he's
right?
not making any changes.
Right, exactly.
Between now and the regular season ending.
But the coach is the one that's been guiding the team and, blah, blah, blah. But I also, and even while it is unusual, and I guess you could call it shocking, I don't think don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. Either Denver, the team's going to play really well. I mean, they have who was the assistant that took over?
Forget his name.
But is it Adelman? No, Adelman stopped coaching. I think he'd got enough. I think he was about to have a heart attack from it. Whoever it is.
David Adelman.
David Adelman. So that's not the same Adelman, though, right?
No.
Rick Adelman. Or maybe they're related. I don't know.
I would guess they are.
I would think the Adelman guy's probably, he knows his X's and O's. He knows the personnel. Still, it's on the players to play, so I don't necessarily think it's like the end of the world. And that's not to say that Denver's going to make a run either, because they certainly aren't the team they were at one time. Maybe some of it has to do with the players they parted ways with. Maybe that has to do with some of the Wolves parting ways with Bodega Cat. Maybe that is part of the reason why the Wolves aren't playing as well as they did last year. You certainly, Rosen says he thinks the team is deeper this year. Doesn't necessarily think better. We tried to take his words out of context, which I don't do often, but every once in a while I do. I don't think this Wolves team is as good. I got ripped for suggesting that Bodega Cat was the heart and soul of this club. And who knows? Maybe the Wolves will make a big run here. Here's the other story. Did you see the Doncic story?
No.
Doncic's controversial fourth quarter ejection cost Lakers a huge potential win against the Thunder. Here's what happened. This is a Sam Quinn story, also CBS Sports. Last thing anybody wants is for important NBA games to be determined by officiating, but that might have happened as Oklahoma City defeated LA 136-120 Tuesday night. The key moment came midway through the fourth quarter when Luka Doncic had just given the Lakers a 108-107 lead with a floater. So he makes a floater, gives them the lead, crowds on their feet. Afterward, Doncic turned around to share a few words with someone, seemingly a fan, sitting courtside in Oklahoma City. The only problem, official JT Orr thought Doncic was talking to him. Doncic had already picked up one technical foul in the third quarter, so a second got him ejected from the game. Doncic
You've got to be kidding me.
Desperately that he was talking to a fan, but to no avail. The Lakers had to finish the game without their star point guard. With Doncic out, the Lakers fell apart like a cheap suit. A 1-point lead turned into a 16-point defeat in just 7 minutes and 42 seconds. Not nearly as bad as the Wolves, but still not good. The Thunder are still fighting to clinch home court advantage in a possible finals matchup against the Cavaliers. Had the Lakers won, Oklahoma City would have led Cavs by just one game in the loss column with 3 games to play. Meanwhile, Lakers needed 2 wins in their last 4 games to clinch the number 3 seed in the Western Conference. Now they need 2 in their last 3. Let's just take Doncic at his word, right? That he was directing his comments toward a fan. It's still on him. He shouldn't have picked up his first technical. Now, it doesn't say in the story that I saw why he picked up the first technical. So first of all, you've put your team in peril by picking up a technical foul. So really, to me, you have nobody to blame but yourself. It's just the nature of the game. I've never committed a foul in my life. How can you call one on me? And then I was fouled. Every time I miss a shot, it's not because I missed it. I was fouled. And you and I have talked for very recently, but days, weeks, months, years, that basketball is, I think, the hardest game to officiate. I just think it's 10 big guys running up and down a court, and they're slamming into each other. Guys taking it to the basket. Guys are defending. Guys are trying to block shots. Sometimes you see the contact. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. So I just think it's difficult. Matter of fact, we were talking as I was watching in the semifinal games and the national championship games. In each game, all 4 of those games, I saw at least 5, 6 blown calls. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the officials are incompetent. I just think sometimes it's so bang, bang, quick, hard. You can't see it.
When the ball is connected to the hand, sometimes it's hard to tell whether that's a block or whether you got a piece of the hand.
Exactly. So Doncic shouldn't have put his team in jeopardy like that to begin with. And second of all, that's his game, he gets trolled by fans, right? He does a lot of yapping with the fans from what I've seen. And there's probably other players that
I think he just does yapping in general.
And he does yapping in general.
To the other team.
So now, and then you know how fans are. It's gotten to the point now where we've talked about heckling. I don't mind heckling as part of being a fan. I think you should keep it to a minimum. You should keep it clean, and you should try to be funny. If you're not funny, don't even do it. And most people aren't funny, so don't even try. Just leave them alone. But when you're trying to goad a player into something, the players, as hard as it is, you just can't bite, man. You just gotta. I saw Jalen Suggs get called for. Eastridge was over hosting. Where did they play again? Holmgren and Suggs.
Is it Minnehaha?
Minnehaha Academy. So they came over to Eastridge, and there was it was jam packed. Obviously, I mean it's when Suggs and when the Suggs and Holmgren circus comes to town and puts up the big tent, every gymnasium was packed. Right? These guys are both in the NBA now. They're on the same team, so it's a packed gymnasium over there, and it was Deuce and baby brother Peter who told me who the kid was. I don't know his first name, but the kid's last name is Tilley. Tilley, I think. And he's over there, and he's jawing with Suggs during the entire game to the point where Suggs goes over to the stands and starts doing stuff after he made a basket or something, and Suggs got called for a tee. So now, it didn't end up changing the outcome of the game because I think, I'm pretty sure the Minnehaha Academy won the game. But think about it. If you're Tilley, you get to tell people when you're watching Jalen Suggs on TV, you go, I got him teed up during a game. And so I
got him going.
Yeah, I got him going.
I triggered him.
I got him going. And so they got Doncic going last night, and he couldn't help himself. Just couldn't keep his yap shut. So he goes back. And, again, they probably say derogatory things to you. If there's ever racial stuff, I could see where even then I would excuse that if it's a racial slur, or if they say your grandma wears army boots, something really serious where you might, maybe you do have to, and while you still should try to find a way to refrain from verbal, or in cases we've seen where players have gone into the crowd, and had physical confrontations with these players. Man, you just got to be able to draw. So and again, and it could very well be that Doncic was responding to the fan, but that doesn't excuse, don't do it, dude. And easier said than done. I get it. I mean, I respond to people try to get me going on the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line, and occasionally it works. And I'll respond to them, but I most of the time when I'm responding, just because I think I got them boxed up, and I don't mind a little give and take, and I think Doncic doesn't mind it either. I think he kind of likes it, but boy, the danger. So he got put into a situation that might not have been his fault completely, but he'd been called for the earlier technical, so he got to it.
Be a little more careful.
Yeah, I think you should just be a bit more careful.
At least the Ant hasn't been getting technicals lately, if we want to look at a bright spot.
Well, he had one, I think.
Oh, did he?
If he got two more, I think he's had one. So I think he's dangling there by a thread. Yeah. Last thing on the Twins before we bring Mark Rosen into the conversation. So we already talked about it, and we still have heard nothing about the MRI that Pablo Lopez is to undergo. He left the game in the fourth or fifth inning. He felt tightness in the back of his leg, and he came out of the game. Twins weren't out of it. It's ninth inning, top 09, 2-1. They're down one. Tying run at third. Go ahead run at second. Carlos Correa, the highest paid player on the Twins. Your guy that's supposed to come through in the clutch. He'd had two doubles earlier in the game. What does he do? Grounds into a double play. So
gotta have a better bat there.
Yeah, well, you do.
He just chased.
He was like Cuddy. That's exactly what he did. He said I can get you the exact quote. It was at the very end of the Fish Wrap Factory West story about what, because Correa was asked about it post game, what happened, and here she be. Give me a second, 10. I got it here. I do. I'm telling you. Here it is. He says, that was the right pitch. It says, then Correa grounded into an inning double play on a cutter that fluttered over the middle of the plate. Correa said, that was the right pitch. I saw it well. Just mechanically, I stood up from my legs a little bit while I was swinging. That's why I hit the top part of the ball, and that's why I was so mad. So at least I like his response, at least trying to explain what happened. You could say that's excuse computer, but I think maybe he was saying it. I mean, he's faulting himself. He's not saying no one.
It's not really an excuse. He's just saying.
Yeah. And nobody forced him to come up on his legs. He did it. He's not saying, the sun was in my eye. I wasn't chewing my gum confidently enough or whatever. He's basically saying, I stood up from my legs a little bit while I was swinging. That's why I hit the top part of the ball, and that's why I was so mad. So he admits it was an issue with the way he swung the bat, that he came up on his legs. He didn't say something like the Wolves did, which, watch this way it goes. Try to do better next time. He fessed up and said it. So, Twins, is it a getaway game or is it a night game? Do you know? Is it a getaway day for them? Because it's a 3-game set, I think, and I think it started Monday because we've lost 2 in a row. So they're either playing this aft or they're playing.
They're 6:40 tonight.
6:40 tonight
Because they have 4 games with Kansas City. They got another one tomorrow.
Okay, and tomorrow's probably a day game.
That's a 1:10 start.
So maybe we'll keep you posted on that. Tonight, I'll be watching live from the Masters. Watching them talk about the minutia of golf, idolizing and pedestalizing all the players that will be playing. And that's what we'll do there. The legendary Mark Rosen. Speaking of idolizing and pedestalizing, I've always admired him. And he's going to join us next. His second appearance on the radio station, a rare second appearance. He was on with the morning show doing the Masters pool. So we'll be joined by Mark Rosen. We'll do that next year on The Fan.
When you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself, talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.